Hi guys, thanks for coming to my channel. My name is Mallory and this is Mercury Mind. I'm going to do my first video based on astrology, which is my number one passion. So here we go. I think it's appropriate to start at this exact time in the universe because today is the lunar eclipse in Cancer, which is opposing a Capricorn stellium of Sun, Mercury, Pluto, and Saturn, which is insane. The energy is absolutely insane recently. I'm hoping that this is all going pretty easily for you and not as tough as it could be. This is why I love astrology, because I feel like if you know what's coming ahead of you, it's easier for you to embrace what's happening and embrace change and understand that everything is temporary and change is constant. Now, this stellium in particular, this Pluto-Saturn conjunction is probably the most impactful of all of those placements because they're extremely powerful planets. Extremely. Like Pluto represents death, rebirth, power, transformation, and then Saturn is like the strict teacher. It's the planet of karma. It's that paternal figure of let's get shit done. And I feel like we've been building on this energy since, I say, 2012. I feel like one of the biggest awakenings that started to happen was in 2012, and I feel like we've been building on what's happening and collecting all of these tools and all of this information, heading into this Aquarian age, which is technology and technological advancements. And I feel like we've been able to really use technology as a tool to understand the reality of the current state of the world and what we're doing and where our power lies inside of us. And I feel that this placement is painful. And it's just like a hard truth, but I feel that what is about to happen collectively is what we've been gearing up for. Like we are ready for battle. And I hope that no war breaks out, but it wouldn't be unlike the Saturn Pluto conjunction. If you look back on previous just aspects of Saturn to Pluto, there's it's 9/11, the first World Trade Center bombing, the Cold War. It goes back pretty crazy. And if you look at what's happening right now, it's with what just happened, I feel like who knows what's going to come this year. I hope for the best. I do. It's not all doom and gloom, but we'll see. What I think is also interesting about the current energies is Uranus, the planet of change, the planet of revolution, finally goes direct, exactly the same time as this placement. So this lunar eclipse is going to be happening today on the 10th. And then the exact conjunction of Saturn Pluto is on the 12th. So all of the energies in between here are really potent. It's a really potent time. But at this exact conjunction of Saturn Pluto, we have Uranus going direct. It's been in retrograde for a while, finally slowing down, and here we are. Action, change is coming. It's the planet of revolution. Like I said, I feel like this year is a year where we are not going to stand idly by to the structures that have been implemented for centuries and centuries that do no one any good whatsoever. It's like there's two sides to this. You have those who are in power that want to keep that structure because it benefits them, but then there's the other side of things that are there is power in numbers. There is something we can do about this. This isn't okay. And no coincidence whatsoever, Uranus is in Taurus currently. And I really strongly think that this correlates with Mother Earth. It's the first Earth sign. It's look at what's happening with climate change. Australia is literally on fire right now, and it's a lot of people are upset because we're still focusing on things like coal and we're not really caring about actually nurturing our mother. And I feel like this Cancer lunar moon, this mother aspect, which is the direct opposite of the paternal Capricorn stellium, it's allowing us to look deep inside of ourselves and understand what really matters to us at a core level and what's important and how can we take that and go forward and bring it out into the open. Because, Cancer is predominantly fourth house energy, which is your private self, your home life, family, like very like internal version of yourself. And Capricorn is the top of the wheel. It's your outward persona. It's what can I do in this lifetime to make a difference to help everyone else. And I feel like Uranus going direct now is, I'm not surprised that everything is happening on Earth the way that it is. We really need to change. We really need to change what we are doing on this planet and how we are making an impact. That is how I feel about this as just a collective. Each individual person is going to be going through something completely different. It depends on your sun, moon, rising signs, really all of your chart. I think that the rising is the most important as far as constantly shifting energies. I'll come back to that in a moment as far as what each rising sign might be going through at this time. But I think also like collectively from an internal standpoint, we are being forced to grow up. We're at a time where, no one's going to be here to hold our hand anymore. It's time to take responsibility for your actions. It's time to break that karmic cycle of this repeated behavioral pattern that hasn't been doing you any good whatsoever. Like, how can you break that? How can you finally step over into the ascension of the best version of yourself, the more adult, if you will, version of yourself? I grew up with a strong Capricorn friend, and it was funny because I would make like reckless decisions and kind of make a joke out of them when I did something that was like wrong or hurtful or just not productive. And I would like tell her like laughing about it, and she would just kind of look at me and like, I'm not going to meet you there. Like, you're not, that's not going to benefit you well in the future. And she just like gave me that look. Like she knew, like, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. Capricorn is father time. And though it works very slowly, ultimately it knows what needs to be done to accomplish the goal. And even though Capricorn is a slow, patient sign, the energy is quickening right now. I think that's Uranus moving direct. I feel like we're really feeling the effects of that. And that's like boiling up these inner passions inside of us that need to like fully come out. I had a profound experience the other day where I was, very deep into like a spiritual side of myself, and I was in tears. This fear of losing my mother came up, and I was begging out loud to the universe, please do not take my mother. I promise that I will mature. I promise that I will take responsibility. I will grow up. I will start to do the right things that's going to benefit me. Like, just let me still have her by my side as I go through this transition. I don't know where the fear was coming from, but it was no surprise to me that this was a theme that was happening in my life, because so many times I'm like, oh, I can keep making mistakes and doing this playful, childish stuff, like, because nothing's going to happen to me, or like, I don't know, I just still feel childish sometimes. And then it was like this moment where I realized, wow, if I want to really manifest all of the things into my life that I want, it's time to step up. And if we do choose to step up and we do choose to be that more authentic, better version of ourselves, I think that the rest of 2020 is going to manifest a lot of abundance in areas that you have been waiting for. Because this past year, 2019, was stagnant energy. Almost all of the planets were in retrograde, so it was a lot of like forced internal work, thinking about like what's been happening, like almost like a review. I feel like we were reviewing the past 10 years, 7 to 10 years. I'm getting, and finally, like, this is it. This is that forward motion. This is us taking that step through that door. And it's time to reclaim our power. Capricorn is a powerful sign. And I think we can put in the work, and I think we can do this. It's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. Pluto aspecting Saturn, it's almost like you can't run and you can't hide. It's your unexpected changes are happening to you. Your life might not turn out exactly what you planned, but the universe has a better idea of what that should look like. And the song Let It Happen by Tame Impala is like exactly what I keep listening to it right now. It's like getting me through. Like, when it happens, let it happen. If you surrender to it, it's going to be a lot easier than if you tense up and you refuse to step forward into this new version of yourself. Like, no, but that's not who I am. This is an ego dissolve. This is that phoenix rising from the ashes, a rebirth. It's so beautiful, and you just let it happen to you. What's on the other side is that powerful person that you were waiting to release out into the world. You know what you're capable of. You know deep down. It's time to start putting yourself in those situations that are going to embrace that version of yourself. Okay, so as far as each of the 12 signs go, I'm going to kind of go around the chart and say where the planets are affecting each sign. I like to go off your rising sign. I think it's the most important for energies that are constantly moving. You can go by your sun sign and moon sign too. Those are very big aspects of who you are. But Capricorn risings, this is transiting your first house. So you might be feeling this the heaviest. It might be a little intense, but you're a Capricorn rising, so whether you know it or not, you're coming into that version of yourself anyway. So this is what you've been building towards. This is like your time, like how have you been holding yourself back is the question. And how can you change that so that you can be your best version, bring that forward to the world? This is your first house we're talking about. This is the ego. This is the self. You're completely revolutionizing what that means, and you're stepping into your power, truly. Second house would be Sagittarius rising, Sagittarius placements. You might be holding yourself back financially or in a material way. How are you giving away your power when it comes to your money? Like, do you spend too much? Are you saving? Are you, what value do those things hold for you? And speaking of value, what are your values? Are those values true to you, or are they molding to people around you? Like, are you standing very firm in the truth that you are? You're the truth teller, Sagittarius. Are you sticking to your value system, or are you holding yourself back? Third house would be our Scorpio risings. Communication for sure. You're kind of reconstructing the way that you choose to communicate, how you hold yourself back when it comes to communicating. Scorpios are so secretive anyway. They're an interesting placement because there's so much watery depth of emotions that happens inside of them. Part of them doesn't want to burden other people with that, but at the same time, it's like very frustrating for other people that are much more communicative. They're like, okay, like, why can't you explain to me what's happening? Like, it's not that deep, even though it is to the Scorpio. But I think Scorpios right now are really kind of learning like how they can communicate themselves better, and step into the power of communicating that, not being afraid to. Libras, my Libra risings, fourth house. I feel like you've recently gone through a move, or you're going to move, or your house has changed in some way, or you're trying to figure out a way. How can you make a house a home for you? What is your sense of home? It might be time to kind of rework like your personal internal security, so that you are able to create what feels like home for yourself. Virgos, fifth house. Virgo. How are you holding yourself back from experiencing joy in your life? How are you holding back your own creativity? What are you compromising that with? Do you feel like you have to be a certain version? Because this is polar to the 11th house. I'm wondering, like, are you giving away all of your energy towards, like, groups, people, friendships, Like, are you really like focusing on yourself and like what gives you pleasure? Like what makes you laugh? Like how can you expand your joy in this life right now? Like what it's very interesting. I feel like Virgo especially is interesting because they like to control that area. So I feel like maybe you just need to like really learn how to have fun and what that means for you and surround yourself with people and things that are going to bring that part out of you. All right, Leo. Leo rising, sun, moon. Sixth house. Sixth house, health, absolutely. What have you learned in this past year about your health? And are you actually taking the action to be the healthiest version of yourself mentally and physically? Do you take care of yourself, like your body, your physical form? And if not, like, what do you need to do to change that? You know how much better you feel when you take care of yourself. So step into that and do it. And this is also the house of work. And I feel like, are you really in a work environment that makes you shine? Are you shining? Are you really doing something that makes you happy? Are you holding yourself back? Like, are you working too much? Is your work life kind of defining everything, the structure of your whole life? Do you need to reorganize that maybe? Cancer. Cancer rising, seventh house. House of relationships. I feel like maybe you've allowed yourself to be in a lot of toxic relationships that take your power away. I feel like relationships are just very tough for you. Like, do you have that sense of independence? You know, this is mirroring your first house. Like, are you able to take that full independent version of yourself and put that into your relationship? What aspect of codependency are you experiencing through this transit? And how can we tear that apart so you can step into this confident version of Cancer that can be just so beautiful? Gemini, this is transiting your eighth house. Eighth house is a tough one. It's a very dark house. It's the house of death and rebirth and transformation in general. It's the natural house of Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto. So this is a tough house to be going through. I mean, I feel like a lot of fear might be surfacing for you around death in general. Maybe you've been a bit secretive about sharing parts of yourself. You might need to purify yourself at this time a little bit more. You know, this might be like that Capricorn kind of like a growing up. This might be like it's time to rebirth into that Phoenix, like for you especially, like when it comes to that side of yourself. Taurus. Taurus, this is transiting your ninth house. How are you holding yourself back with your higher education? Is your current study or work, does it reflect the passions behind your brain, like your passion project? Are you holding yourself back from exploring, going to a new country, learning a new language? Are you really stagnant with where you are? Are you kind of settling? Have you been settling for your current, like where you are currently in life? I feel like it's really time for you to not be afraid to branch out. Take that leap. Go somewhere new. You know, there's parts of yourself that you really need to unlock right now, and the last thing you need to be doing is keeping it safe, keeping it like cool. I don't know. You guys need to go travel. Go on a trip somewhere you've never been before. I feel like that would really benefit you right now. Aries. Aries, this is transiting your 10th house, which is career, your outward persona. Are you holding yourself back in your career? Are you allowing yourself to accomplish as much as you can accomplish? Are you holding yourself back from achieving? Are you in a place that nurtures that leader inside of you? Because Aries is the natural leader. Are you able to fully shine in that regard, or is something holding you back? Is your power stunted in that area? It might be time to take action to, maybe get a new job, or to ask for that raise, or to just push yourself forward to the front lines, because this is your show. You should be running it. Stop letting other people do that for you. I know it doesn't make you happy. And then we got Pisces, 11th house transit. Are you holding yourself back from your own creative version because you're worrying too much how to fit into the crowd? Are you surrounding yourself with actual groups of people that allow your inner light to shine, or are you kind of fading into the darkness? You might have to dissolve some friendships at this time. That's kind of tough, but if it's not benefiting you and it's not going to support you in this new version of yourself, you really have to let that go. And what are your hopes and dreams? What are truly to your core your wishes? What's wish fulfillment for you? How can you go about achieving that? You need to really focus on that right now. And last but not least, Aquarius, 12th house. This is like the elder, like laying on the deathbed, not to be morbid, reviewing his life and what regrets do you have? How can I cut out all of those things so that I don't have to worry about all those that past version of myself anymore? How can I let that go? It doesn't even feel authentic to me anymore. And I want to know if you're having any profound dreams right now, Aquarius, or like what your mind has been telling you. You should really pay attention to your dreams. Dreams are very powerful, and they actually have some hidden messages in them that it seems like your brain is just making this stuff up, and like it's just muscle memory and just happens that way. But there are truly like hidden scripts inside of your dreams that can help you, propel you into this change that's happening for you. It's going to be a beautiful transformation if you embrace it. That's pretty much the layout for the current energies for each sign. I'm curious if any of that resonates with you. Comment below. Let me know if it does. If it doesn't, what you're going through right now, I'm so curious. Of course, like, don't feel like you need to share. Sometimes it's way more important to keep everything, like, internal. Like, that's where your power lies. Like, save this just for you. Like, no one needs to know what's happening or what you're going through. Like, this is about you and how you're going to bring that light out into life. Because this is about bringing the light to the world. This is such a beautiful thing. Like, we see the corruption, we see what does not work anymore, and we are here to make sure that we can help this world to be the best possible place for every person. This is the Aquarian age, the humanitarian. We really care for the greater good. We want to restructure everything. Like, this doesn't resonate with me. This doesn't resonate with me. How can I use my gifts in my service to make sure that this is not what my children have to deal with in the future? And I think it's going to be a very interesting year. Very interesting year. That's what I got for the current energies. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for coming to my channel. See ya.